Welcome to the You Can't Afford Me podcast, where we skip the fluff and dive straight into the grind. Real entrepreneurs, real struggles, and the unfiltered journey behind success. Let's get into it. Hey guys, thanks for joining us on another episode of the You Can't Afford Me podcast. So this is a first for the podcast. We have two guests on today. Super excited to talk to these guys. They have an awesome restaurant here in the Richmond area. So today we got Luke and Will. How you guys doing today?
Doing good. Excited to be here.
Yeah, awesome,
thanks
man.
for having us.
Yeah, so give us a quick rundown, 30 seconds, each of you. Kind of describe who you are, your role with the organization, all that good stuff.
Sure. I'm Luke Phillips. We're brothers. Been entrepreneurs our whole life, done a bunch of different things. Newest thing is the shirt I'm wearing right now, Game Plan Kitchen and Bar, which we just opened 2 weeks ago.
Nice. Oh, man, this is fresh.
It's fresh. It's fresh. It's been busy. It's been good. So it's so far it started out really well.
Nice.
Really well. So we're excited about it.
And what's your role with the organization?
I'm one of the owners. So just I'm not doing as much as the day-to-day operation. We have another partner that his lifelong dream has been to own a sports bar. And so he's kind of running most of it there because we have a bunch of other kind of companies that we run as well. So
nice.
Trying to keep my focus where it needs to be.
Yep. You sound like me, man. I'm a serial entrepreneur, and a lot of times it's hard keeping my focus on one thing.
Yeah, it's hard. I'm ADD, so.
I wouldn't operate any other way.
Yeah.
What about you, Will?
Yeah. I mean, similar story to Luke. We've just done business together ever since we were out of college, pretty much. We went through parasail. We did video games for a while. That was working for our dad. And then after that, we've kind of gone through the gamut. We have the Sky Zone trampoline park in Midlothian.
I didn't know any of this.
We're franchise partners of that one, so that we didn't start that by any stretch. But we've been running that one for 11 and a half years now. But
nice.
And we've got a great team there that kind of really takes care of pretty much everything. Shout out to Austin. But we've been spending a lot of our time the last couple of years working on the Cocky Rooster. It was the big one. Now Game Plan Kitchen and Bar kind of popped up. But we just kind of run together. We always have, and we kind of tried not doing it for a minute, and then
didn't work out.
It just didn't work out. So we kind of
stick together.
All right. I have so many questions.
Yeah.
And this may be a part 2
Maybe
podcast too, because
we're
we're about to get into it. So
back to the Garden of Eden.
Number one, I'm always intrigued, and I think a brother relationship is a lot different than like a husband and wife going into business.
Sure.
What's it been like for you guys as brothers being in business together?
I can probably answer that.
Yeah, go for it.
We're basically yin and yang. We're the exact opposite, which works out really well. So everything that I don't like and am not good at is what he's really good at and what he does. So we work together well. Like even when we talk about trying to do things separate, just kind of can't. Like I just need, he's my right-hand man on everything I've done. He's been my best friend. Obviously, he's my brother. We do everything together, and it just kind of works out well. So
nice.
Just kinda...
See, this pisses me off that my parents didn't have another boy. I would have loved to have a
it
brother.
worked out well. We got 2 sisters, too, who are both awesome and hustlers themselves.
Yeah,
they're both entrepreneurs
hustlers
as well. So
nice.
It's kind of an entrepreneurial family.
So give me the yin and yang. Like, what are the things that you enjoy doing on the business side that he doesn't enjoy doing?
Yeah, well, I've kind of made my bones in, like, I sort of specialize in doing the things that nobody likes to do.
You're the numbers guy.
Yeah. All right, nobody likes to do
Nobody
numbers.
wants to do the numbers.
You know that,
That's it.
So I'm the numbers guy. I really I just try to keep the entrepreneurial life, the small business life. It's like everything's always just disorderly. It's disorganized.
Yep.
And so I pretty much spend all my time trying to tidy everything up. So I try to clean up stuff that's fallen by the wayside, or whatever, hopefully before something turns into a big problem. It's whatever. I spend a ton of time on hold. I spend a ton of time filling out paperwork, but it's insurances and taxes and filings and registrations and just like all that garbage it's all the stuff that you get into business not wanting to do.
Yep.
Now, I don't mind that kind of stuff. I kind of it's a little therapeutic in a way, but yeah, kind of like just keeping everything together. That's my gig. I always talk about Luke's the crazy entrepreneur guy. I'm just like not afraid of it in most of the ways, but Luke's always the one with the new ideas. Let's go do this new thing. Let's start something else. Let's go. Let's keep pushing. Let's grow. Let's move. I'm a lot more conservative in my way, that I'm usually like, all right, let's hold on. Let's make sure we have enough money to move forward first, and
you gotta have
else.
that.
But that's kind of how we work.
Because I'm probably more personality-wise like you, and then my best business partners have always been people like you, where, like, I like to be out in front of the camera. I'm the personality. I'll be the face of the business. I don't want to do the numbers. I don't want to make those stupid calls to customer service. I don't want to deal with the insurances and stuff like that.
The worst part.
But it's like when you have, like, probably one of my worst business partnerships, I always kind of equated, and people can argue with me if they want, MJ is the GOAT to me. It'll never be LeBron James or anybody else.
Sure.
So I look at that Chicago Bulls team where it's like Scottie Pippen, Rodman, and MJ. And I had a business partner one time. We were both fighting to be MJ.
Yeah.
And it's like, bro, if we're both trying to hold the ball the entire time, like, nobody's ever going to score. Like, I need you rebounding, or I need you, hitting me with assists. Let's go back a little bit. So, you guys have known each other your whole lives.
Yeah.
Where did this entrepreneurial spirit come from, and what age did you guys kind of see that, like, hey, I don't think the traditional route's for us?
Sure. I can probably start that one out.
Yeah, go for it.
I mean, our dad's been an entrepreneur his whole life, been successful, and so I've always aspired to be just like him. And so I wanted to. Wasn't great in school. I'm super ADD all over the place. But I knew, he told me from a young age, just like, if you work hard and find your niche, then, you can be successful. And it's just like, God gives you a gift, whether or not it's MJ, he can be a basketball player, or, whoever it is, and then find your gift and then work hard and you can succeed. So that was kind of my own mindset. I worked for my dad in Dallas for a year. And immediately was like, no, this is not for me.
What kind of businesses did he own?
He was in the video game world. So he was a video game rep, and then he had his own publishing company for a while that Will worked for as well, too. So we were kind of always in the video game world. That's what we did most nights instead of homework. He was a genius, so he didn't need to study. I did, but, I didn't do great in school, but that's fine. So that's kind of how it all started. But we started with our parasail company out at Smith Mountain Lake. That's how it all got started. 18 years old. I think we talked about it. My dad ended up giving us a loan to buy the boat, which was not a very nice parasail boat, but we bought the parasail boat, and I think he really wanted to just keep us busy so we didn't get in trouble.
So at 18, you guys like immediately out of high school, and you're like, I got to get rolling?
I was in high school, so I was a senior in high school. He was in college. What were you, a junior?
I think it was, it was somewhere around the end of, because we were in like high school and college at the same year. So he was a senior, I was a senior, but he was high school, I was college.
Gotcha. Yeah. What's the age difference?
3 years. Yeah. I was just wrapping up college. You were just wrapping up high school.
Yeah.
And my first job was a parasail first mate, so we kind of had some history in parasailing.
Nice.
And whatever that parasail business, it was at the same lake at Smith Mountain Lake. That old parasail business, we'd become really good close friends with the guys who owned that, and they kind of sunsetted that business as that guy graduated from college and was moving on to go get a real job. So we saw the opportunity and jumped in there. And like Luke said, our dad wanted to support that idea. He's like, why don't you guys bring parasailing back to the lake? We're like, yeah, I guess we could probably figure it out. We've been, grew up on boats at that lake in the summer times and stuff. And
so first business, you guys are roughly 18 and like 21. What were the lessons that you guys took away from that first business?
Well, we didn't kill anyone. So that was like that felt
That's
big.
Always a plus.
That felt big. 4 years, we didn't kill anyone, didn't hurt anybody.
Yeah.
Being 18, or being that young, there's a lot to learn.
Yeah.
And still, I'm 37 now. I have a ton to learn. Constantly I'm trying to learn. I'm always trying to dissect, why people do this or what's going on over here. And that's something that I'm like just addicted to. Yep. Just that's why I listen to podcasts all day, every day. I just want to learn. I just want to learn how they did it and why they're doing it this way and what's their motivation, right? So I think for the most part for parasailing, just understanding how hard of work it is, right? When you actually run your own business and you're not making money or you're, you need to figure things out, trying to learn that. And then, the motor breaks and you got to pay $5,000 and then you're off and you got you've started a bunch of businesses. You understand it doesn't start out glamorous.
No.
It starts out hard.
Everybody thinks we're balling. The second we start an LLC, everybody's like, "Oh man, you're paid." Like, no.
Yeah, we can tell you how that's not the case at all.
You got to file taxes again.
Yeah, not even close. But just learn how to work hard, right? And then because it's a grind, right? All these businesses that you do are a grind, and it's just trying to figure that out. And then, we had some friends that we kind of hired to bring up, and we had 2 other partners in it, my cousin, and then my now brother-in-law, who's my best friend and married my sister.
Nice.
Yeah.
Man, y'all keep it tight, man.
Yeah. It was a prop. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, so we had some other partners about that we did it with, but just trying to learn to lead, right? Trying to learn to, kind of get everybody together. You're kind of with friends and how everyone's going to work together and kind of all that was really what I felt like I learned at parasailing. Just try to kind of put a team together and all work together.
What were the obstacles you guys faced? Because like at that young, so like for me, like I'm a college dropout at the junior level because they weren't teaching entrepreneurship, and I'm like, I'm not gonna keep going in debt for this. Like, I know what I ultimately want to do. So I fell into the mental health field and worked in that field for 10 years. And coming in so young, like I was probably 23 when I started in that industry. I wore a 3-piece suit to work every single day because I'm like, I'm way younger than everybody here at this office. They're not going to think I have the knowledge or expertise in order to do what I need to do and scale up in this business. So I'm at least going to look the part. So that was my way of overcoming at a young age, like being in a professional setting at 21 and 18. Like, what did you guys do to, get past that obstacle that a lot of people may look at you guys and be like, you don't know what you're doing. You guys are just straight out of high school and college. Like, what were some of the feedback that you got on that or obstacles that you had to overcome at a young age?
Oh man, that's a good question. I feel like I spent a lot of parasails so scared.
Yeah.
I didn't even really think about what anyone else was thinking. But I mean, I think
the first year was scary.
There's I feel like it was at least for some period of time. It was for me much less about kind of what other people were seeing and feeling and much more about kind of how I felt about things. Mm-hmm. And I kind of felt like once we sort of got a couple of reps under our belt flying, because we would practice parasailing each other because we're like, what can go wrong?
My dad was smoking a cigar and burning the shoes. We found out, so that was fun. But
yeah, we did some wacky stuff, but it was we had just had so little practice really at the start that it took getting a couple reps under our belt to really for me to feel confident about it. I mean, we grew up driving boats and felt very confident doing that, but just parasail was different. And I think for me it was like once my own confidence set in that like I can do this. We've got the processes. Like, we kind of have our routine and we know how to do this. Then I think it was just sort of a matter of. I think in parasail, well, for most people, they kind of don't know what's going on anyway. Yeah. So they just see the captain knows what he's doing, whatever,
At 18.
So I think for us, it was really just kind of projecting the confidence in that way,
Yeah.
If anything, at that stage of things.
We got really confident towards the end.
Yeah, but I kind of think as well we benefited from the ignorance of youth, of not really knowing what we needed to be afraid of yet.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? It was like, yeah, I didn't even think about ourselves as entrepreneurs or business owners at that point. It was just we were just parasail guys.
Yeah.
You were in a 3-piece suit. We were in flip flops and shorts. That was every
That
day.
sounds a lot better than what
it was nice. It's not the worst place to be out on the boat.
Yeah. We had a good support system. I mean, our parents are a really good support system for us, encouraging us to go.
Yeah.
And so they're really helpful and supportive of all the good and dumb things we've done.
What was the revenue like for a business like that? Because that's ultimately a seasonal business. So how many months out of the year could you guys operate that?
It was just 3 months. So it was just when we were out of school, we would out of college or high school, we would go for the summer and do it for about a 3-month time period. Nice. It did pretty well, actually. We were very profitable. We got very good tips because we would make it fun. Once we got confident, we do dumb things that probably aren't legal, like torpedo takeoffs. We just launch people off the platform. We dunk them underwater.
A little bit, yeah.
There's a dam. We try to fly them over the dam. All things that you shouldn't do.
Probably sounds hard to understand,
but got great.
It
great tips from it. But yeah, I mean, it was good. We could, it was mostly cash. I'd walk back to school with a wad of cash in my pocket, spend it all in about a month.
So you're the one at the frat parties in college. Like you were like, man, drinks on me. Like
Luke was the president of his frat.
There you go.
Yeah, I had fun.
What fraternity?
Beta.
What school did you guys go to?
I went to Hampton Sydney.
I went to Elon.
Longwood, man.
There you go. There you go.
Right,
the only time I stepped foot on, first off, we hated you guys because y'all always wanted to come Longwood and steal our girls.
I never came, but yeah, I kind of hung around.
The only time I stepped foot on a Hampton Sydney campus, Vanilla Ice was performing.
Wow.
It was $5.
Was this rock and roll Vanilla Ice, or was this like throwback?
No, it's throwback Vanilla Ice.
Okay, well, good.
So it was $5 for a ticket, and you got a free beer. I was like,
Yeah.
I can't pass
They
that.
had some fun there. They had some
$5.
fun.
I will say this: he had this drummer. His name was Clint Eastwood, the sickest drummer
Really?
I've ever seen in my
He's a
entire
big drummer.
life. Dude, he look up Clint Eastwood,
Okay,
Vanilla
Clint
Ice.
Eastwood drummer.
Yeah. Not that Clint Eastwood. Like, dude, sick drummer.
Okay, that's cool. That's great.
All right, so 4 years, you guys have that business. I'm assuming at this point, like when you guys retire it, you guys are ultimately coming out of college.
Yeah, I was coming out of college.
Yeah,
he was
well,
already.
I had been replaced actually after my first year because I went to go work for my dad after that, and so our good friend Michael took over my spot and became the new driver. But
So the only
so I had gone to work for my dad in the super serious black tie corporate job of a video game company. Yeah.
So was that the only like corporate job you guys ever had, was working for your dad?
Yep.
Yeah.
So describe what was that you were doing day to day at that job?
So I was, he was, I think he was kind of introing me into a bunch of different areas to try to get me to learn the business, to see how much I could, help as it grew and as we got older and stuff. But so I started out, I started out as basically a paid intern, updating our Wikipedia pages and like,
So first off,
funny things like that.
I love that your dad's at the top of the company. He didn't immediately like put you up. It's
No,
like,
no,
you're
no.
starting at
Yeah.
the basement level
No.
too.
Yeah, it was basement level stuff for sure. And then, it was a pretty short stint there. And then I worked in the finance department for a while. I was in charge of making our royalty reports. So, because we would publish other people's games and, calculate out what was owed and sort of things like that. And, which was actually very interesting because I got a pretty early on, I got a pretty good sense of the sort of financial structure of all the games and, sort of what the advance payments looked like and how the marketing and manufacturing broke down. And
So you know how much
what you
people are
actually
making off of
come away
Guitar
with.
Hero and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, yeah, we had much smaller games than Guitar Hero. But yeah, did that for a couple of years. I eventually worked my way into doing, I always had like sort of meaningless job titles, but I was business coordinator for a while. So I would actually travel. I got into a role where I would travel around to trade shows around the world and try to meet up with developers that were pitching games. And so I was one of the guys that would pitch games to, which sounds like a kid's dream job, which was really fun. It was a good time.
But you're learning sales. I tell people all the time, if you learn how to sell, you will never go hungry another day in your life.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, for sure.
There's always something to push.
Truth to that.
So
That's
what did
I
you
was
do with the company?
I was on the sales rep side of this company called Phillips Sales. So we had like Konami and Namco and some of those, and we were mainly
nice.
selling to like GameStop and companies called D3P back in the day in Hastings.
Did you buy any GameStop, the stock?
No, I wish. I wish. Now I don't even know what GameStop is these days.
I know.
It's
That
just
was
like
a funny meme to track, knowing the
Yeah,
GameStop
I don't even know what it
As
is.
we know it, that was a fun kind of wave. But yeah.
But yeah, I started at the ground floor with him as well too. I actually get shocked at what he paid me. I'm like, how do people live off this? But yeah, I mean, same thing. I was just a guy. I mean, I was, I worked with another lady and just was the guy that just ran around and got coffee and did whatever I was told to do.
Just a little gopher for a while.
Pretty much.
Gophers,
Yeah, did it for a year and wanted to get out real quick.
All right, so after you guys leave the gaming industry, what's the next business?
So the next one was, while we were in that, my dad started doing like a movie and distribution kind of gig he got going. So he needed a warehouse, so he wanted to do one. So I said, well, I could do a warehouse. We could do it. Will and I could do it. And he was like, well, you're not ready. He didn't want us to leave the companies yet. So he's like, well, not yet. You got to at least save up $15,000 and you got to find a lease for a spot. So I called
Dude,
him.
I love your dad. I want to meet your dad.
Honestly,
Well, this backfired on me.
yeah. His head's in the right spot.
And I'll tell you.
But yeah.
So I called a realtor. We found a lease that day, and I called my buddy Michael, who we parasail with, and I said, I need $15,000. I'm starting a business. And Michael's as crazy as I am, and he said, sure, what do I wire it? So I told my dad, I said, I have a lease and I have $15,000. I'm quitting. And that was the
12
first
hours
time
later.
I've seen him a little frustrated. But then he was like, you did exactly what I told you to do, so you can leave. So we left out of there, and then we were just in a warehouse for, 2 or 3 years, called Hatch Solutions. And we were A lot of like distribution. So we were taking inventory in, counting through it, sorting it. Not very glamorous in Dallas. It was 110 in the warehouse. We were just sweating. Woo! Will was in Richmond and nice air AC doing the accounting, but I was out there. So we did that, and then we kind of started doing another side of Hatch where we were trying to bring new products to fruition. So we were trying to help like new guys get into Walmart and GameStop and different things like that. So
Gotcha.
That was kind of all part of that.
Where'd you guys grow up? Did you grow up in Virginia or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Over in Midlow.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep.
So when was the transition to Dallas? Just when you were working full time for your dad?
He didn't move to Dallas. I moved to Dallas.
Yeah, I did 2 months in Dallas.
Yeah.
So our dad's always had, or for a very long time, he's had his main office has been here in Richmond, and pretty shortly after we moved to Richmond in the early '90s, he opened an office in Dallas as well because GameStop's based there, and there's a lot of video game stuff there.
Gotcha.
Throughout the years. So he's always sort of had like the two main offices. He had one in England for a while, and he's had them all over the place with the sales company. But yeah, so that was the Dallas office for his companies in that stage of time was more of the main hub.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So Richmond is finance and HR, and so the kind of boring me stuff. The fun development and production and all that stuff and marketing was all in Texas. And so Luke was there, and so I was Richmond. Luke was Dallas when we jumped ship to go start our own company. So the warehouse that we ran was in Dallas, and that was during that stint. And then I can't remember if I wasn't married at that point, but my now wife and I think we're dating. I wasn't interested in moving, so we kind of like we're trying to figure out how to work it out, and it worked. It worked well enough for me to kind of keep contact because our dad was here in Richmond, so I was sort of the satellite office of Hatch. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the main office was the warehouse in Texas, but
It worked.
That
it
was
worked
Luke
out.
working that.
It was a nice warehouse, though. It got broken into a bunch of times.
No.
It was like, it was fun. It was fun to say the least.
I had to clarify the Dallas thing because you're sitting here with the Washington hat on. I'm like, this guy.
Yeah, no,
from Dallas.
I'm a big Commanders fan. So.
Yeah. This is the first. I don't want to go on a football tangent, but I will say this. I don't hate Washington. I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan.
Okay, that's fine.
Don't hate
We
Washington.
have no problem with you.
It's just the fan base, man. You guys get a water boy, and it's like, man, we're going to the Super Bowl this year. This was the.
We've had a long time.
Y'all
we give us something, okay?
Last year, I will give you your props right here on the podcast.
Got to give us something.
Last year, Jaden Daniels, this is the best in my lifetime since I've been a football fan.
Lights out.
That Washington was like, okay, this is the real deal.
I know.
Like, Washington's got something now.
And I don't want to jinx it because, break his leg or something.
Yeah.
But,
So I told my friends, most of my friends are Washington fans. I was like, as soon as y'all started calling RG3 and giving them these initials, I was like, now you're calling this guy JD5.
I know.
Y'all better stop. You better call
I'm worried about
Jaden
it.
Daniels.
I worry about it every day. I pray about it.
I was going to say, Jaden Daniels has done a lot for you because you rarely say you're a fan of the Commanders.
I know.
So that's a new change.
I'm on a podcast. I'm trying to be nice.
It's all right.
Are you a Washington fan too?
By proxy.
Yeah.
I never really stuck to watching football growing up, but I've only really gotten into it the last 4 or 5 years, getting into fantasy football. But I've always been a Commanders fan on Luke's behalf. But I'll cheer for anybody.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you talked about your wife. So so you're married, single, married?
Married.
All right. Mm-hmm. Where along this journey did you guys meet your significant other? Because luckily, this worked out for me. I'm not sure.
Bottom.
So that's what I was looking for. Because my biggest fear, when I knew one day I was going to be an entrepreneur, my biggest fear was you get the accolades, you start to build this large company, and then the women come along then, and you don't know if the woman's really with you for who you are, if it's because of the swag that you got at this point. Yeah. So me and my wife started dating right when I decided to be an entrepreneur. So and she'll say to this day, she used to have to pay for a couple of dates, and there were a couple times that things moved a little quick because I was gonna have to. I think I was about to get evicted from my apartment, and I was just like, hey, can I just stay here for the next week or something like that? Not telling her. So, how did you guys deal with dating while you're building these businesses?
Want me to start?
Sure, go for it.
Yeah, definitely. So when we moved, when we closed down Hatch, which was our warehousing company, we were moving to Richmond for The parasailing company,
No, this is for Sky
Sky
Zone.
Zone.
Yeah.
One of our partners in Sky Zone, Matt Tomasino, he was getting married out in Cancun. I went out there to his wedding, obviously, and then that's where I met my wife in Cancun.
Nice.
And she
Man,
actually
you started the bar all the way up here,
Yeah.
like, hanging out in
That's a good spot.
Cancun.
Yeah, a good spot to be. Yeah.
she lived in New York, and so when I met her, I had this whole mindset when we started the businesses. I'm not going to date anybody, and I don't want to get married yet. I want to focus on this. And then I met her, and she's awesome.
Yep.
Fell in love with her, and she moved down here, and then we got married. I don't know, 2018.
Yeah, you got to tell me. I don't remember.
Yeah, trying to think of it. But yeah, she's awesome. But yeah, it started when we were just starting Sky Zone. Going through a lot. She's dealt with a lot. She's been through a lot of me just trying to push through and work, and I still do.
Yep.
She's my biggest supporter, and she's really what keeps me grounded at the end of the day. She's smarter than me, and she kind of coaches me through a lot of things, to say the least. So she likes to say she's my neck. But yeah, she's awesome. She's a spitfire.
I'm the biggest proponent of the biggest decision you will make as an entrepreneur is who you decide to spend the rest of your life with.
Sure.
Like, you can wreck your world as an entrepreneur if you marry the wrong woman.
Yeah, and you got to have a supporter, right? You got to
Yes.
have someone that supports you in this. Because like you said, entrepreneurship is not some glamorous thing all the time. It's you're getting called in to go work, or you're going to do this, or something blows up, and whatever it may be. And she's very supportive of it, and very supportive of my crazy ideas, and keeping pushing forward. So without her, I don't think I would be doing as much as I'm doing right now without a support system like that.
Nice. What about you?
Yeah, you're making me think. It's like you need somebody that's ready for some adventure, because it is like,
It's a roller coaster.
Yeah, it's like I don't equate an entrepreneurship with glamour at all. It's like I'm in it too deep to feel that way.
It's a dogfight.
Like, for my wife, it's like, it means that sometimes I have to stay at work all morning and all night when like we didn't expect it, and like, whatever. And sometimes we don't have any money or any time. And sometimes it means, whatever, you can go out of town for a week when like whatever, there's school and no one else everyone's at work and whatever. There's a lot of freedom to it, but it definitely comes with a lot of work. But so I met my wife. We met at church. We were at Redemption Hill. We met there together.
So Cancun church.
Yeah,
right. All right, I know.
I love Jesus too, though.
You do. But let's see. Yeah, we met in like 2011 or 12. We were running. I can't remember if we had started Hatch yet, or if I was still at South Peak, or the video game company.
Yeah, we had Hatch.
When I met Marla, though, I know it was either way. It was somewhere around that era where we were pretty. I was either like grunt work at my dad's company. Because I think once we started dating, I stopped traveling. That's when I was done with South Peak. So I think it was mostly Hatch.
You're probably broke too, so you couldn't travel.
Yeah, I mean, we were. Yeah, I didn't have a salary anymore because we just left. You know? I remember we would like get we'd have some sort of invoice that we would receive with Hatch. It would be like $2,000, and we were like, yes, we're gonna be rich this month. And there was a lot of like, I know for Marla and I, her name's Marla. It was a lot of like sort of like, what do you do? Like, what is your job actually? Like, so you just do finance? Like, I don't know what that means, but great, that's great.
It's got a nice ring to it.
Yeah, sure. And it was just sort of like there was a lot of kind of just things just weren't normal. I think as you think of things to be normal, that this is your day job, you go do that. It's sort of like, we kind of like live this thing. You kind of have to do it all the time. And then pretty shortly after we got married is when we opened Sky Zone down here. And then that was a big shakeup because we had been doing 9-to-5 work with a little bit of travel. And then sort of suddenly we were in the family entertainment, and we're working basically nights and weekends because that's when the trampoline park business was open, is evenings on a school day and then all day on the weekends. Yep. So we lost our weekends for a long time, and it was sort of that time was a big thing for us of like sort of what's your normal day? Like, when is normal coming back? And it just sort of became like, this is normal.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that kind of grew in that way. But I mean, my wife's she's been incredibly supportive of all this stuff too. And, she's really good at sort of for me, she's really good at like challenging my assumptions and sort of what I'm doing and what I think is like, is that a smart idea? Could you do this like more efficiently? Is it like how can we be like wiser and more productive about this? And I'm like, that's a really good idea. Because my go-to is just to kind of like dive in and grind and not really think about how I can make things more efficient until I'm sort of drowning.
Yeah.
Which, I've gotten better at that over time, but that's, I don't know. Yeah. So it's really just the support system from her has like always been the biggest thing of just like, she doesn't get to see, or like, it's like, it's like she sees the non-glamour all the time. And it's like, especially I think now sort of as our business portfolio grows, it's like we suddenly, I feel like we suddenly step back and it's like, oh, we kind of sound impressive all of a sudden, and we're doing cool things and we're enjoying it a lot. But it's like it's been a long time of like, I'm like I got to shower before I leave work or before I go to work and when I come home because I am covered in icy or dust or just whatever. I've been in a crawl space all day or I'm in an attic doing Lord knows what.
Yep.
It's like and so it's.
I'm going to get you guys some extra brownie points with your wife. I want to make sure I clip
Go
this
for
up.
it, yeah.
Just for you guys to say, my wife's awesome. Oh, she's the best. Blah, blah, blah. We'll blast that all on IG. All right, so let's go from we passed the warehouse.
Yep.
So Sky Zone's the next thing.
Yeah, then we go.
So how do you guys go from, because people ask me this all the time, it seems like the businesses I've started, like there's no connection to all of them, and it's like completely left field going from one to the other. What got you guys into the family entertainment space? Like, what made you look at that model and say, hey, I think we need this here in Richmond?
Yeah. Well, that's probably revolves a lot around my scatterbrainness, and nothing does connect. It's just like, what's new, right? What's next? So we were working in the warehouse. It was 190 degrees in that thing and just sweating all day and just being like, this is fun.
The temperature gets higher every time you say it.
And it was
150 degrees.
Yeah, it'll be like 225 by the time we're done. But it was hot. It was hot. You can ask the other guys that were in there with me. But we drove by a place in Texas, in Dallas, called Urban Air, and we walked into it, and it was a trampoline park. Never seen it before. This was back in 2012 or 11.
12.
And it was like, this is mind blowing. This is cool. And I've always wanted to do. I want to do cool things. That's why we do this and the Cocky Rooster and game plan and parasailing. It's just like one of cool things. Like warehousing wasn't cool. Yeah. It was just my step to get out of what I was working at Phillips Sales. So we walked in there, and then my dad actually brought it up at one point about a trampoline park before I even saw Urban Air. And he's always thinking of new ideas and stuff too. So we saw that, and then we kind of looked up a bunch of information about it, and then we're like, okay, Sky Zone was the founders, but let's knock them off. Let's just get stuff from China and figure this out. We ended up talking to Jeff Platt, the CEO, who'd actually partnered with us at Cocky Rooster too. And he's the coolest guy. He's just like such a cool guy. And it was like, we can't knock this off. We got to go with this guy. So we started working on it. Will did a bunch of getting an SBA loan and doing all that at 23. We were nobodies and had to get our dad to partner with us, which I think he's happy with now, but he was probably scared to death when he did it. But yeah, so then, it took a lot of work, but got that one going and opened. I think we're the 51st park.
52nd, if my memory
52nd
serves.
park. Opened that one in 2013.
So do you guys have kids?
We do. Yeah. Both have 3.
Yeah. How old are your kids?
6, 4, and 2.
8, 5, and 1.
So you guys are the coolest dads, and the fact that
yeah. Well, for a long time, my son Dominic, my oldest, my 6-year-old, because every time he came to work, I would go play with him. Yeah. And he was like, "So does Uncle Will own Sky Zone? Or because he's always working and you're always playing." I'm like, okay. I think he finally understands that.
Yeah, it took him years to figure out that we both own it.
Yeah, we both own Sky Zone. So yeah, they enjoy it, obviously.
So then from Sky Zone to the restaurant industry.
Not quite. Then we built another Sky Zone in Virginia Beach.
Okay.
We ended up closing that one during COVID. So I closed that one down. It was just hard to be out there. We had one of our partners, Michael, out there as well, too. That one didn't do as well as the Richmond one, so we got a good out during COVID, and so we just took it.
Gotcha.
So I closed that one down. Then we got into the restaurant industry.
All right, so now all right, people have heard me say over and over again on this podcast, I've owned laundry business, bubble soccer businesses, media companies, educational businesses. The one business I will never own is a restaurant. So talk to me about...
You asked me 6 years ago, I would agree.
So talk to me about, because obviously this is a much different industry from the other businesses that you guys have had. What is the most difficult thing about running a restaurant?
I mean, how long do we have?
In my head... I think it's the employees.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, every business, I think, really. The people's always the hardest part. It can make or break you for sure. But you start. I want to hear what you think first.
The hardest thing?
Hardest thing about running a restaurant.
Well, shifting from entertainment or parasailing or whatever else we did to a restaurant. Restaurant is like work.
Yeah.
It's like hard work where you're going
grind.
to burn yourself all up and you're lifting heavy stuff and you got to convince people to work.
Yep.
I mean, it's like, that's real work in my opinion. That was the first thing that I kind of noticed going into it. Like, wow, like, why do people do this? Like, this is dumb. And we got into it a little differently, and I'll start there. It was, kind of when COVID was happening, I ended up calling one of my buddies one day, Brett. I was like, what are you doing? And he's like, I am out looking for a lease for a new concept I have. And him and his father-in-law owned Burger Batch. I don't know if you ever heard of Burger Batch.
Love that place, dude.
Yeah.
All right.
And it's gone now. But
Wait, is it Burger Batch or Burger Box?
It's
That
Batch.
was a big
It's
debate.
like
For
a
the record,
bachelor
we're going
pad.
to put this on the record on the internet. It's
Yeah.
Burger Batch.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's short for bachelor. It's
like a bachelor pad.
a bachelor pad.
Nice.
It's a
You
New
come to your
Zealand
burger
like phrase that you would use for like a bachelor pad. So it was
Yeah.
like the Burger Batch.
I've gotten in many a fight with people
I know.
over it's
You know,
Burger
it's
Box or
actually
Burger
a
Batch.
lot
Yeah.
of a lot of people that worked there and or did a lot of business with there. Still, I hear them call it Burger
Bach.
Burger Bach, Burger
All the
Back,
time.
Burger anything else. It is Burger Batch. But if you say Bach, we'll answer.
Yeah.
Wait, so Burger Batch is closed?
Well, they have one left in Carytown, but they
Yeah.
have 4 others that they happen to close down.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because I used to go to one
Yeah.
in Short Pump all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Best
that was
truffle
shut down.
fries
Fantastic.
in
I
Richmond.
know.
It was my favorite restaurant.
I know, really loved it.
Which is how I became friends with Brett and DB. And Brett told me he had a new concept he wanted to work on, but he was looking for a 1,000 square feet spot, and he lost it in down by VCU. And I was like, what is it called? He said, the Cocky Rooster. And I said, well, that's the coolest name ever. I want to be a part of it. And I was like, well, we happen to own, with our one of our groups, we happen to own a building in the Fan, which is where we ended up putting the first Cocky Rooster. So he came and checked it out, and then we started the first Cocky Rooster there. And so,
Nice.
but still, yeah, the hardest thing is definitely the grunt work of a restaurant, and then employees. But we've worked really hard to get the concept of the Cocky Rooster is different. We work really hard to get all the terrible parts of a restaurant out of the restaurant. That's a longer story, but that's something that we really focus on at the Cocky Rooster.
So what are the terrible parts of a restaurant that you guys have been able to eliminate?
So we started a 3.5-day work week for our employees, and so that's changed our game. That's changed everything.
That's
We're
really
pulling intention.
Ooh, that's very European of you guys.
It's no, it was the dire
really
need
big.
of just like you couldn't hire anyone during COVID,
Yeah.
right? Because everyone's getting a check to not work, and you can't hire. No one wanted to work, and so
Yeah.
it's like we got to bring quality of life back to the team because first of all, working in a restaurant is terrible, and second of all, it's like what can we do for the staff to make them want to be here? Because anybody can work anywhere, to some extent.
Yeah.
But like, why the Cocky Rooster? Why are you going to come here? So we ended up actually one of my business partner's wives, I think, sent an article about a 4-day work week that Chick-fil-A was doing down in
Yep.
down in
I think I read that.
yeah, down in Florida. So I ran with it and made it. So we made it into like basically a 2-pod system where the store was split up into 2 groups. So it had a manager and a team under each group. So when group 1 worked Sunday through Wednesday, when they were done, they were off and they couldn't get called in. So, but they worked their 40-hour week during that time. Same with the manager. He didn't get called in either. And then the other group came in. But what we found out is both those groups, because they work together the same every day, and they work longer days, like 12-hour days.
Yeah.
But they become like a little family, right? They become friends. They become a family. They count on each other. So they weren't coming in late anymore, right? They weren't not showing up for work. And if they weren't, it was because of a dire need. But the other guys were willing to cover it for them and take over for them.
Dude, that is genius.
So that was that was literally out of desperation though, because we were like, we got to figure this out, and we started franchising the concept, and we were ready to franchise in 2021, but we came in and said we can't franchise this concept until this is perfect.
Yeah.
Like we can't let an owner come in to franchise with us and then have to work in the store every day. It doesn't make sense. It can't grow.
Yeah.
Like, do I want them in the store here and there? Of course, but we need a system that they can grow with. So we built 3.5-day work week. When you go into a restaurant, never been in one before, they use like either a chalkboard or they're using a dry erase board and writing down the prep list. And I'm like, well, how do you know how much we need to prep a day? They're like, well, the prep guy knows. It's like, well, how does the prep guy know? Mm-hmm. Well, he just knows. Well, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So then
I don't like that.
I called my brother and I'm like, we need to make this something out. Like, this has to be online. This has to be something. So he built us a whole system called the Crow Board, Cocky Rooster Operation Workstation, and it's a whole basically
It's a mainframe.
You put in all your numbers in the beginning of the day, and it spits you out your whole day. So your prep list, your order guide, your daily checklist, your everything like that. So we've tried to make,
Is that something you guys own the IP on?
Yeah, pretty much.
Are you selling that to other restaurants?
Not currently, no.
Is that in the works?
Yeah, we're thinking about
Everything's in the works.
I kind of want it mainly for Cocky Rooster, right?
Yeah.
I want it for my franchisees because what do we have? We have a really cool brand. We have great food, but what else can I give to my franchisees that makes us separated out, to pick us for somebody else? So these little things I like to hold on to a little bit, but it's a great tool that's worked really well for us because now anybody can come in the morning, put the numbers in, and then here's your whole day.
Dude, that is I'm honestly floored by that. Like the 3-day work week, dude, that is genius. So have you guys started franchising now?
Yep.
We have. Just opened our first, we had our first franchisee open in Columbia, South Carolina last month.
Yep.
So why do you see going the franchise route versus like owner operator, like and popping up in different states? Why did you guys choose to go the franchise route?
Sure. So Dan Branningham, one of our partners, he's opened 87 restaurants altogether. He scaled a concept called Bullets in the 90s to 70 locations before he exited. And then when I in the beginning of the Cocky Rooster, when I was trying to figure out restaurants and just life, and we were talking about if we can get this big enough, we can scale it and franchise it, I called Jeff Platt, who was the CEO and founder of Sky Zone, because I was friends with him. And I said the same thing. I said Cocky Rooster, and he goes, I want to invest. And I was like, well, you don't know nothing about it. He goes, I know if you're a part of it and it's called the Cocky Rooster, I want to be a part of it. So we've had Dan and Jeff that have both been in the franchising world. Jeff scaled Sky Zone to 330 locations, I think it was.
Sounds about right. It was a ton. Yeah.
And so he did really well with that. So we got these two guys that know how to franchise, have been franchisors. And then we've been franchisees, which I think is cool because I know all the stuff that I hated that they did, or at least what Jeff did. No offense, Jeff. I hope you don't listen to this. So we kind of took all that into account and said, we can franchise this. We have guys that can do it with us, and we can really, grow this model correctly.
Nice.
Grow the system.
So I will admittedly say I've yet to be at the Cocky Rooster, but now meeting you guys, I will definitely
So now you got to try it out.
I will definitely go this week.
We should have brought some.
I will tell you, if you send a black man to eat chicken, I'm going to give you the real,
You
man.
give it to us. Give it to us.
We'll take it, yeah.
So give me, what's the standard dish on the menu there at the Cocky Rooster? What can people expect when they come there?
You run through it.
Sure. Mm-hmm. So our main thing is wings. So we got fried wings. All of our sauces are made from scratch. So we try to differentiate with that. We don't bottle anything. We looked into bottling and we called Saucegate. It was a whole pain, but putting all the preservatives and everything in it to try to keep it good on the shelves doesn't work out. So we try to be authentic. Everything's all of our chicken is fresh, never frozen. We have our own Cocky Rooster breading that we use. So and everything's cooked to order. So we're not hot holding anything. We're not Wendy's or Chick-fil-A, even though I love Chick-fil-A. Nothing against it.
That's God's chicken, man.
It's
Everybody
God's
loves
chicken.
Chick-fil-A.
Hey, we actually have a sandwich called the Sunday's Best, and that's because Monday through Saturday, Chick-fil-A wins. But on Sunday, we got the best sandwich in town.
That's right.
But we got our wings are really good. People love our wings. That's our biggest seller. We have a Sunday's Best sandwich that's become kind of one of our staples for our sandwiches. So we got 4 sandwiches on the menu. We got tenders. We got sliders now, which are doing really well. People are loving the sliders. Some people say we have the best fries in Richmond. You can decide yourself.
I say we do.
All right. I'm going to tell you guys right now. I'm going to bring one of my videographers with me. I'm going to do a live food review.
I'm ready.
Oh,
Tell me
let's
when.
take it. That'd be great.
Tell me when. Let's do it.
Because, it's breakfast time, and y'all got me hungry.
Yeah. It's good. And then we got some cauliflower on there.
I was just going to say, don't snooze on the cauliflower.
Yeah, the cauliflower
is really good.
It's actually very good.
It's like a breaded fried cauliflower.
And that's it. Our first concept has no seats, so it's takeout and delivery only. Our second one out in Broad Street, West Broad Street, that one does have seating, and then our Columbia store does have seating as well.
Okay, cool. So we got that, and you guys mentioned, I think you kind of skimmed over it, more or less a real estate portfolio. So are you guys in the commercial real estate game, residential? What are you doing in that space?
We were kind of dabbling at some point. That was kind of, was it right before COVID that we bought that building?
Yeah, it was a great time.
Yeah, great time. we were in this sort of scale period when both Sky Zone locations were running and they were relatively smooth. And then we had Back to our dad again. He's always been running his own business, and he's always had 5 or 6 side hustles that are just running.
Yep.
And it's oftentimes with buying land and splitting lots and developing and selling and.
Dude, I think your dad's my future best friend, man.
Dude, he's a cool guy.
He's a hero, man. He really is a superhero on this stuff.
Luke and he's 65 and ripped.
Yeah, he is. Luke and I always talk about it. It's like we both are like our dad's split in half.
Yeah.
So like Luke's got the crazy entrepreneurship side, and I've got the figure it out, like button things up side.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how he does both of us.
He's right in the middle.
It's really incredible to watch him. But so he had always kind of been, he's always had that mentality of like, okay, I'm gonna do the business, but I'm gonna look at the land. I'm gonna buy the building. I'm gonna do that. Whatever. Like that's always been his.
Yep.
He's always kind of thought that extra mile like that, and so we had, and it was before we had got into the restaurant business. We had talked about. We had sort of, you might say we had our first foray into food with Sky Zone, just having the kind of snack bar, right?
Yeah.
And we started cooking our own pizzas there, and we sort of felt,
Just the best pizza.
It is the best pizza. It's so good.
I started getting fancy, doing a little salt bay on the
pizza. We started doing a little fancy, like we could run a restaurant. I think I can figure this out.
Put a little basil on top of that cheese pizza.
Yeah, so we had started looking around for an opportunity to buy a pizza place, which is how we to start a pizza place, which is how we landed on this building. We were looking at that stage to knock off And Pizza, basically.
Yeah.
Which I don't know really where they're at these days, but that was kind of the whole gig, and so we found this store on Main Street that was a salon on the bottom and a apartment on top. And that's how we started looking around, and we were going to open a restaurant, and bought the building first, and then tried to figure out the restaurant business, and kind of never could get ourselves off the ground. We couldn't really come to any, we didn't have like the right vision. None of it. We sort of all were trying to be in the driver's seat. That was sort of like one of our bigger, not that it was like strife or anything, but that was one of our bigger like clashes of like, what are we trying to accomplish here?
Yeah.
Other than that, it's been smooth. Speaking of Luke and I, but that's how we had gotten into that in that stage of things. But I mean, we're sort of always, I don't know, yeah. If there's an opportunity, like let's talk about it.
We've done other house flips and things like that with the family and different stuff. But
nothing's off the table. But it's not our main thing. My wife and I we do an Airbnb. We own an Airbnb property off in the Northern Neck. Mm-hmm. But we're not big into real estate, but we're always. I mean,
it's one of those things keeping in your back. Like,
always that one, yeah.
My older sister is. You can talk to her. She's
a real estate mogul.
Yeah,
she'd have a lot to talk about.
Every person, I'm not talking about rich. Every wealthy person I've ever met
has real estate.
And I think it's like 80% of multimillionaires in this country are all entrepreneurs. So it's like number one, if you want to be a multimillionaire, you need to start with entrepreneurship. Yep. Mm-hmm. And I think probably about 98% of them all own real estate to some capacity.
Yep.
So that's land, commercial, residential, whatever it is.
Yeah.
All right, so you guys got Cocky Rooster off the ground. What brought this new brand? How did we get here?
Yeah. Started as a joke.
It did.
To be honest. But yeah, we're doing the Cocky Rooster, and we're really trying to get it going. We haven't taken, here's the non-glamour of a business. We haven't taken paychecks out of the Cocky Rooster. We've been doing it for 5 years. We're just really trying to grow.
Man, hold up. Say that again for the people in the back that didn't hear you. See, everybody thinks we're balling and all this money's just falling out your butt. Like, dude, I tell entrepreneurs all the time, if you're not willing to work without a paycheck for at least 2 to 3 years, don't even bother getting started.
Yeah, luckily Sky Zone does well, and some of our other ventures do well enough to pay us as well too. But Cocky Rooster wise, we're just trying to grow that. We got our new franchisees. We've sold 3 more units, and so we're really just trying to grow that. At the end of the day, so. Yeah, it's not all glamour all the time, but, but it's fun. Yeah. But so, anyways, we one of our partners, Michael Yates, his lifelong dream was to own a sports bar. He was the COO at Burger Batch and made a lot of the recipes, and I think their food was fantastic. Mm-hmm. And he can kind of do a lot. So Burger Batch was closing, and that building, we went into the building that Burger Batch was in Midlothian, and so we just saw an opportunity. There was already a bunch of stuff in there, and Will and I are pretty handy. Will does all of our electrical, plumbing, and data, and internet, and Yeah, and I kind of
People
do
check
a
my
lot,
work.
the building and the flooring and the other things like that. You learn when you have no money, especially at Sky
Oh, yeah,
Zone.
how to do stuff,
You just start YouTubing stuff. Now it's so easy to learn anything on YouTube and whatever. But
so we probably have a future electrician business coming from Will.
You know,
Yeah.
it's definitely my fallback plan.
He loves it.
If things go poorly, well, I always say to myself, it's like, you know, and it is like you figure it out when you have no money. It's like, you know, we need. The first one I always remember is when we got our pizza oven at Sky Zone, and we needed somebody to run an outlet for the pizza oven. You know, the big 240 volt outlet, and it was like $1,000, and there was like a 10-foot like stretch. It was very small.
Yeah,
and it's like right at that, it was like I don't think it costs that much.
Yeah, can't
and
be
so
that
now
hard.
it's like I'll get. It's almost frustrating to know how to do this stuff now, because you talk to a contractor and you're like, well, I need this fixed and that done, and they're like, okay, it'll be $2,500. I'm like, all right, so that means I have like a $1,500 budget in tools and supplies that I can just own now, and then I save myself $1,000 if I do some work, but.
We had
a little dangerous, but you know.
When we moved into this space,
that.
These lights that are overhead right here.
Yeah.
I talked to a contractor and I was like, yo, I need these professional lights. I need them going this way, boom, boom, boom. There was not a contractor that came in here that quoted me less than $1,800.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
it's crazy.
Dog, I'm just talking about hanging a light from.
Lights, bro.
Yeah. And then I went on B&H, one of the big photography and videography sites. Found those poles for $30 a pop.
Yeah.
Done.
I was like, dog,
You get
y'all
it.
got to come on, man.
Yeah, you got it. If you're an entrepreneur, you
I was
gotta-
born at night. I wasn't born last night.
Respect to the electricians, you know.
Yeah.
Respect the business.
Mad respect.
Mad
They
respect.
came in and did some outlet stuff here that I couldn't do, but
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, dog.
But once you know it, it's like it's so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
But to that point, I want to get back to this.
We found an opportunity that we thought we could open because I already had the equipment and already had chairs and tables and everything. So we demoed out a lot of it, which we did, and then kind of rebuilt some cool stuff. I don't know if you saw, but we put like stadium seating in there in front of just mainframe of whatever, which is again kind of
that's awesome.
kind of a joker.
14.1 foot TV.
Yeah, and a 14.1
Which
foot TV.
I need somebody to check me on it. It might be the biggest TV in a restaurant in Richmond.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I like that. We'll stick with it.
Somebody put that in ChatGPT.
Yeah,
we'll
let
stick with
somebody
it.
double check me, but until someone corrects me.
But yeah, saw a good opportunity and thought it'd be fun. One of our partners, Brett, he does a lot of our branding, and so he kind of came up with the cool brand of the game plan and the colors and whatever. And they put me in charge of TVs, which is why there's way too many TVs in there and they're everywhere.
And just every other TV has Washington on it.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it will.
And then Michael Yates did our whole menu, and then we have Dan as well, who helps guide us and keeps us grounded too. And he's just been in the restaurant industry so long; he's a wealth of knowledge in that as well. So we kind of was like, hey, we got a little bit of a gap between. Well, we thought we had a gap between opening our first franchise, so we got some time. They ended up opening on like the same week, basically.
They ended up,
which was a headache and a half. And so we kind of had like a little bit of a lull period in Cocky Rooster. We're like, we can get this done in between these openings.
Yeah.
So we just went for it, and it started out really strong. It's doing well. It's a cool spot. It's fun.
Are you guys doing the same thing that you've done with Cocky Rooster in terms of staff, like the 3-day work week?
Yeah, we have in the back.
I'm going to talk to y'all offline. I got to figure out how to implement something like that.
We added it at Sky Zone too for our managers. It's working out really well. It's like there's definitely it needs to be tweaked per business. I've kind of learned too.
Yeah.
We implemented it into our Columbia store down in Columbia for Cocky Rooster, and it's all working really well. So,
do y'all, in terms of like, it seems like every time I see a new restaurant popping up, like, are all the restaurateurs like pouncing on like that chef that like a great restaurant ended up closing and now this guy doesn't have a job, or like all the restaurateurs like trying to pounce on the talent in the restaurant industry like all at once when things like that happen?
Well, the Cocky Rooster doesn't really like require chefs, right? Because we just kind of have a system. We have a very buttoned up system of operation for how we make our food and how it works.
Yeah.
When we originally opened that, I think we made 150 sauces and we broke it down to like 16.
Woo.
And Dan has so many connections in this world of just people and Michelin star chefs and different things. So he was a big driving force. And like I said, Michael's really good at making food. And so now I actually have a sauce on the menu that I'm proud of.
Oh man, you saucing it up now?
Yeah, I got one sauce on the menu that's still hanging in there. But then, when opening, game plan, Michael is very good at the menu and kind of did it. So, we're not from the restaurant industry. I guess we can consider ourselves restaurateurs now.
I know. I always tell everybody I'm not the kitchen guy. I'm here to enjoy the food like you guys are. I just run the books and keep the the operations.
I still don't consider ourselves restaurateurs, but so like how it all works on the back end. I mean, I'm big in operations. It's what I do and what I like to do.
Yeah.
But where chefs are going, like I don't know. I don't know how that really works. They do.
You have to ask the other guys.
I know
really
Michael
about
and
that.
Molly, two of our partners at Game Plan. They know everything that's kind of going on in the world of that. But I just kind of
Stay in your lane.
Yeah, sit in my lane.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you guys this as we wrap up. What is next, or when is it enough? Like, I get the sense that you guys are a lot like me in terms of, like, when I hear people saying they're going to retire one day and just sit on the front porch, like, to me, that's a death sentence. I never want to live a lifestyle like that. Like, I always need to have my hands in something. Like, at the end of the day, for me, if I still have my portfolio of businesses and I'm mainly focused on public speaking and coaching and things like that, I'll be at my happiest. For you guys, a lot of people may be listening to this and hearing, like, geez, these guys only got this, they got that. Like, when is it enough? Like, what's the goal? What are you guys trying to accomplish?
You want to go first?
That's a loaded question.
Yeah, no, it's a big one.
I got my answer, but
well, I think there's. Okay, so what's next and when's it enough? That's kind of where we're going.
And what are you ultimately fighting for? Is it like, is there a number that you're trying to hit? Is it just like you said, I just like doing cool stuff? Like, what is it?
Yeah. So for me, I'll answer for me. I think there is. I think I think as far as like opening things and running businesses and all this sort of thing, to me, it's like as long as there's capacity, like let's do more.
Yeah.
I think it's like I've sort of like disconnected myself in a way from I guess my I don't know from like what like I think my accomplishments need to be or anything like that. Like I don't have a number. I don't have like a number of businesses. I don't have a number of dollars. That's like I just need to get to here and then I'm out. I that's changed over the years, and Lord knows it may change down the road too. But
like our why changes. Your why was different before you had a wife and kids.
Yeah, right. Like somebody said some famous wise person said my wife's been married to 5 men, and they've all been me. I've just really taken to this whole entrepreneurship thing. I like I said earlier, I've always said that Luke's the real entrepreneur of the two of us. People come to me and ask me about entrepreneurship and, how do I like it? How do I do it? I'm like, I don't know. I just follow Luke along and I just make sure it doesn't blow anything up too bad. But I've really taken to it in the way that it's just fun. It's like, it just feels like doing cool stuff now.
Yeah.
And even if it's not cool stuff, I think, I could talk for a long time about just the value of work and just grinding things out and doing things and just accomplishing things and how good it feels to do it. Some of my most rewarding days are the days that I like just freaking figured out how to get that pipe to stop leaking. And it's like, it took me 8 hours and it's fixed now, and whatever it is, it's like, I've just taken to like, each of our businesses as silly or as, non-serious as they are. I mean, parasailing, video games, trampoline parks. These are all things that no one needs. Nobody needs any of these things, but they're all the things that make life, right? Yeah. It's like, it's kind of its own art in a way. It's just like, it's beautiful. It's great. And I think as long as there's like things to do and things to make and people to help, it's like, we're just helping people. Yeah. Nobody would be able to, I mean, somebody else would fill these gaps and things, but no one would be able to have Cocky Rooster chicken in Richmond if we didn't grind away every day. No one would be able to jump on trampolines and do your first backflip of your whole life, whatever it might be. It's like we sort of like, we pave the way for people to have meaning in small things and big things. And, and it's like everybody gets to do that works at all, and everybody works at all. You can't live without working. Yeah. But, in the jobs that we get to do, in our entrepreneurial jobs, it's like, there's no rule books. There's no answer guide. There's no one telling us kind of like what we need to do and what we should do. And we get to kind of like, create the world every day. We get to invent the ideas and the things and do whatever. So for me, I think, as long as I can keep breathing and thinking, I'll just keep working. It's like, it's fun. I like it.
Man, that was such an awesome answer. He set the bar really high, so you better bring it right now.
He did. Let me go first.
That's fine. I think about this all the time, actually. Yeah. This is like
we're opposites. This is again,
I really dissect into why people do this for so long or quit. Right? Either way is something I think about a lot. So something I always think about is like, as long as I still have that spark, like
Mm-hmm.
I wake up in the morning and this is what I love to do. I have the spark. First of all, I work with friends and my brother. Like,
Yeah.
how blessed am I to do that every day? I mean, there's grinds, and being an entrepreneur, it can be terrible sometimes. But I mean, we have a lot of things that are lined up to us for. And as long as my family's staying happy and happy with me, that would be like the biggest thing, right? If I'm not around or if I get too deep, and then that could retire me, right? Because my family's important and I love my family. And then keeping God at the forefront, right? Am I keeping God at the forefront? We have a thing in the Cocky Rooster. Our number one goal is make Jesus famous. So like, how are we doing that? Yeah,
Man, put that on a T-shirt,
right.
man.
It
We
is.
have it.
I have it.
We have it on a neon in our office.
I need that T-shirt,
sign
man.
on.
It's a good one, but that's really what the things that I think about, like family, God, friends, having fun, working hard. Do I have the spark? Like, if I have all those things, I'm gonna go until the day I die.
Yeah.
But if those things start slacking, and a lot of it is faith in God, and making sure my family is on the right path and they're happy and everything's working. That's what fuels me at the end of the day. I can do this forever till the day I die.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever run out of energy or run out of that spark, because it's and it's like God's gift. You're born with it, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like you and other people born with athletic talents and other people born with magicians. Like, I can't dance. I'll never be able to dance. It's
You
just
said
like
musicians, not magicians.
I'm
not-
magicians too. I love
You're
magicians.
a magician. I'm a musician.
But people are born
I
with
can
these
teach you how to
talents.
Dougie, though, man. We'll get you right.
Yeah, maybe you can do that.
You and my wife would get.
I don't know. I don't think you could ever teach me that. But people have these talents, and it's like I want to use them. I want to use my God-given gift on what He gave me, and you get one life, right? So as long as I'm keeping everything at a good place, I'm gonna keep going as long as I can.
Love it, man. Love it,
Yeah, see, that was a great answer after mine.
Yeah.
I did think about it a lot. It's kind
I
of
know.
weird, and we have a lot more stuff coming. So
I love it, man. I'm pumped. First off, I'm excited to meet you guys today. Like, formulate this connection. I'm like, man, I gotta hang out with these guys more.
it goes both
You
ways.
guys are cool. I like the way your brain thinks and the things that you guys have upcoming. If people want to find out about your businesses, follow you guys, like, where can they reach out?
Yeah, we got a great Cocky Rooster Instagram. That's really cool that Brett runs. Same
Yep.
with Game Plan. My wife runs it. So if you love it, let her know. If you don't like it, don't tell her. She just started that one. She's very excited about.
Yep.
But yeah, franchising with the Cocky Rooster. If you're interested in that, we're doing really well. Numbers are good, and we got cool things as we talked about today. So that's kind of the biggest business we're focused on right now to really grow.
You may have me as a franchisee.
Come
I
on
said
down.
I'd
Hey,
never
come
be.
on.
I'd never
Come
be in the
on
restaurant
down.
world. You kind
We
of
got a good
swaying me.
system.
We're ready for non-restaurant people.
Yeah.
We're not restaurant people. We're like, we got to make this so everyone gets it. But
Yeah.
we're both not really on social media. Follow the businesses if you want to.
Yeah.
Cocky Rooster and Game Plan and all that. But
And Sky Zone.
And Sky Zone. If you want to come meet us, be at Journey on a Sunday morning or Redemption Hill on a Sunday morning.
Nice.
That's the easiest place to find us. Otherwise, Lord knows where in town we are.
Yeah, right.
Any minute.
Those are the two places we're always at.
Well, y'all gonna
Yeah.
be filling up, like, for the next week. I gotta take the kids and the wife over to Sky Zone.
You gotta.
I gotta go to Cocky Rooster. I gotta, once sports start back. Man, I could have been at y'all's spot for the Masters.
Yeah, we had the
Wild.
Masters
That
right
was
in.
wild.
That would have been a
Yeah.
good spot.
Roy missed that putt. Everyone freaked out.
I know. NBA playoffs are coming up. There's always
Yeah.
something is the fun part.
Yep. No, that Rory. I was like, is Rory gonna blow this?
I couldn't believe it.
dude.
I wasn't even looking, and everyone just started screaming, and I thought he obviously made it, and I looked over, and I'm like, what?
Well, I was cheering for DeChambeau the entire
Me too.
time. I'm
Me
like,
too.
Bryson's got to win this
Yeah.
thing, man.
man.
But, like, he let it get away.
But I do like Rory.
Right? Yeah. No, Rory's a good guy. It was
happy
awesome to
with it.
see.
No shade.
Well, dude, this was awesome. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thanks for inviting
and
us.
we will see
Yeah.
you guys on the next episode.